You're standing at the window. There's someone at the feeder, a chickadee, a bullfinch, a couple of redpolls. You quietly reach for your phone to film them, and they're gone. All of them, in a second. The feeder empty, the branches bare, as if nobody had ever been there. This has happened to everyone who feeds birds, and almost nobody knows why it actually happens. Because it's not that birds are skittish. It's that they're studying you. Every time you appear in the yard, they're collecting information about you. Memorizing your routes, your schedule, how predictable you are. And based on all of that, they make a decision. How close they're willing to let you get. Most people fail this test. Not because they do anything wrong, but because they don't know the rules it runs by. Today we're going to go through those rules. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. On this channel, we break down what's really happening with the birds around you. Scientist named Daniel Blumstein, who has been studying one question for decades. Why do animals run away? And exactly when do they decide to do it? And here's what he found out. A bird doesn't fly away from fear. It flies away from calculation. The moment you take a step toward the window, it has already assessed you, how fast you're moving, where you're going, where your eyes are pointing, and most importantly, what it already knows about you from previous times. This takes a fraction of a second, and this isn't instinct, it's experience. Blumstein noticed something interesting. City birds let people get much closer than the same species in the countryside. Not because they're braver, they simply grew up around people, and over the years understood. This big, strange object never does anything bad. They got used to it and stopped reacting. That's exactly what happens when a chickadee eats from the hand of someone who has been feeding it for 3 years. Not training, just accumulated experience. This specific person is always safe. And here's the thing. You can build exactly the same thing with the birds in your yard. But first, you need to understand what you're currently doing wrong. There are 3 things you do every day without thinking, and each one tells every bird in your yard the same thing. Danger, stay back. The first, you walk in a straight line. Foxes go straight, cats go straight, hawks go straight. When you walk directly to your feeder, that's exactly what it looks like from the bird's perspective. Researchers tested this. Same person, same speed. Once straight, once in a wide arc. The arc barely got a reaction. The straight line, they were gone. The second, you look at them. A predator looks at its target before it strikes. Direct eye contact means one thing in nature. I have selected you. You look because the bird is beautiful. The bird doesn't know that. Same person, same distance. Once looking directly, once looking away. They flew earlier every single time someone looked straight at them. The third, and most important, you are unpredictable. A bird's brain is built for prediction. Everything they do is built around anticipating what comes next. You show up at different times, different clothes, different doors. To a bird, this means one thing. I cannot model this creature. And in nature, an unpredictable large animal is almost always a threat. Researcher Anders Muller found that predictability was one of the strongest factors determining how close a bird would come. Not how much food. Not how quiet you were that day. How consistent you were. Day after day. Those are the 3 things. Straight line, direct gaze, unpredictability. None of them feel wrong, but the birds are scoring you on all 3, every time you step outside. When you close the door, the birds come back, and something important happens in their brains. The more often a bird sees you with no negative consequences, the less attention its brain spends on you. You literally become part of the background. Like a tree. Like a fence, something that's just there. That's exactly what you're aiming for. But this process breaks very easily. Imagine 5 days in a row you come out at the same time, slowly, calmly. The bird starts coming a little closer. You can feel something shifting. On day 6, you're in a rush. The door slams. Your step is quick. Not a disaster, but a setback. Because the bird got data from you that didn't match what it thought it knew, and its brain starts noticing you again as something unpredictable. This is why people feed birds for years and they still fly away every single time. Not because birds can't be reached, because it takes consistency that most people simply don't have. One more thing that surprises people when they hear it. John Marzluff at the University of Washington studied crows. His team wore masks when they tagged birds, an unpleasant experience for a crow. Then they walked around campus in the same masks, just walking, doing nothing. The crows attacked them for years and passed that information on to other crows, including young birds born after it all happened. The parents told them. This works the other way too. If one crow in your yard starts to trust you, the birds nearby see that. They watch how it behaves around you, and they update their opinion of you. Your reputation in your yard is not just between you and one specific bird, so now you know what the test is and why you've been failing it. Here's what actually works. First, pick one time and stick to it. Every day, plus or minus 10 minutes, through the same door, in roughly the same clothes. For the first 2 weeks, just come out and sit. Don't go to the feeder. Don't look at the birds. Researchers found that simply being present without any negative outcome is enough to start shifting how a bird classifies you. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up consistently. Second, never walk straight to the feeder. Walk as if you're heading somewhere nearby and the feeder just happens to be on the way. Keep your body slightly sideways. When you fill it, don't look at the birds. Fill it, step back, sit down. Studies show that birds distinguish between direct and angled approaches in under half a second. That's faster than you can blink. The arc doesn't need to be dramatic. Even a slight curve changes everything. Third, talk. Quietly. Not to the birds. Just out loud. Anything. Calm and steady. Several species, including crows, jays, and chickadees, recognize specific human voices. In one study, birds that had learned to associate a particular voice with safety showed measurably lower stress responses when they heard it, even before the person appeared. Your voice arrives before you do. Make it mean something good. Fourth, wait for them to come to you. Don't go to the bird. Let the bird come to you. Sit about 10 meters from the feeder, look away. Let the bird decide how close it wants to be today. Here's what makes this work. When an animal makes a choice voluntarily, when it decides on its own to get closer, that decision gets encoded differently in its brain than a response to pressure or reward. It trusts its own judgment, and its own judgment says, "You're safe." Tomorrow, it will come a little closer. The day after, closer still. Blumstein measured this. Birds that had grown accustomed to a specific person let that person get about 40% closer than a stranger, after just a few weeks of calm, consistent contact. 40%. That's the difference between a bird that flies away when you open the door and a bird that keeps eating when you're standing 1 meter away. No special talent, no magic, just understanding the rules of the test and showing up the same way, day after day. Most people who feed birds want something back. They want to feel like it means something, that the bird comes to them specifically, not just to the feeder, that it chose them. That's a completely normal thing to want, and it's possible. It just takes a little longer and a slightly different approach than what most of us are used to. The next video, what happens to these same birds the moment you close the door behind you, what they do when you're gone, turns out to be far more interesting than you'd expect. Subscribe so you don't miss it.